Mahjong hapon sa tanan. Magandang hapon sa lahat. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Louis, and I am joined by my wifey, Nora.
Hi, hello.
And we're doing our next video installment about my journey to get my 13A visa, the so-called marriage visa, my permanent residence visa here in the Philippines. And the videos we've done so far, and including today, is for the first step, which is the probationary visa, which is for the first year. And we have a lot of things to share with you today. Nora's here with me as my petitioner. She's going to have some things to say in this video also. You can see here on the screen another receipt. I'm going to be sharing charges with you. But before we get to that, what I want to do is explain to you what's happened in about the past month or so. About month and a half, roughly. Okay, so you had seen before where I went over the checklist of the requirements, like your 2x2 photos, your 3 folders, applications, birth certificate of the wife, the petitioner, marriage certificate, all these things that had to be assembled and submitted to immigration, or assembled to, yeah, for submitting to immigration. So since that happened, in the last video where I talked about that, 2 more things have taken place. The first thing that took place is about let's see, it was about almost 3 weeks ago. No, about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Because this is September 2019, by the way, everybody. Sorry about that. My hearing date was September 3rd. So about a week before September 3rd, we met with one of the immigration officials, and she basically did an interview with Nora as my petitioner. And so Nora's here with me today to tell you about that. So I was not present for the actual conversation and the questions, so Nora's going to explain what the conversation was. So hon, please go ahead.
Yeah, the officer, she was just asked me, Louis and I, where we first meet or how we know each other. So I told her in online and the website, and she asked me if that she asked me if, like, how is the, you know, the character, because the important is, you know, being husband and wife. My husband must be a good person, and he must be a good also to the family. The important one to be a good husband to his wife. So I told her that she is a good person and a Christian.
Okay, hon, so were there any other questions she had for you, or was there anything else that was discussed that could be of help to our viewers, for any guys out there applying for the 13A visa, that their wife, the petitioner, so they could be prepared for these kind of questions and discussion?
Yeah, she was just asked me where we gonna meet, where we meet, and then I told her that online, and then she said that how many years we've been married, and I said almost 4 years.
And was that it? Nothing else? Nothing
else.
Okay. So then fast forward about a week, about, let's say, after this little interview, about 3 to 4 days later, we got a text from the officer at immigration advising us of our appointment. That was a couple of days later, which was actually on September 3rd. It was a Tuesday, just this September 3rd that just passed. And so what happened then, we went to immigration, and when we showed up for the hearing, we were taken into, there's an actual hearing room. One of the immigration officers, a different one that we've never dealt with before, but we've seen her there before, and myself and Nora. And we were in this room for about an hour with her. She brought in the file, And so she began talking to both of us. As you know, this is a hearing, and it's another step, an important step in the application process for your 13A visa. And we've got some questions for you and some things that we're going to discuss. So first, she asked me the first question, and she said, "Sir, when did you first start coming to the Philippines?" And I told her my first time was back in 1987 when I was in the United States Marine Corps, and I was up in the province area of Pampanga at Clark Air Force Base, and that I had returned back and forth trips in the meantime over the years, and that most recently, as of my current passport, because I've had more than one over time and you know, expiration dates and filling them up, that I had come back most recently 2015 when I moved here permanently. And shortly after my arrival, a few months after my arrival, is when Nora and I actually got married. And then she asked me, okay, so how did you and your wife meet? So I explained to her, as Nora had said in her previous little interview, that we had met online and communicated, messaging and emailing and Skype and all these kind of things. And then I finally, when I made my move to come to the Philippines, I had come to meet up with her personally and also do some other activities and some things I had planned since I had been here before. And then she explained to me about how, as I am the applicant and Nora, my wife, is the petitioner, that Nora, as the petitioner, had various rights and abilities to do certain things and to act. She asked me how was my relationship with her family. And because they're very concerned, here in the Philippines, they're very concerned with protecting the Filipina, which obviously is a good thing, it's a wonderful thing, and also their families. She proceeded to explain why she was questioning me about these things, because there are a lot of guys, not her words, my words, that come here, they're scumbags, and they find some girl that they can marry and use them to get a visa, and then in the inspector's words, then they start running around and collecting girlfriends and become what's called here in the Philippines a babaero, which is like a, you know, we would say a Rolling Stone in America, like a chick boy, you know. And really the Filipina suffers, and by extension her family also suffers, because the family loves the girl. And I explained to her that, you know, ma'am, number one, I could never do this because I could not do this great sin against God. And I'm a Christian man, and I love my wife with all of my heart, and I'm completely dedicated to her. And, you know, that's what it is. She asked me more about my relationship with her family. I explained to her how I knew everybody, that I had actually brought Nora home to Leyte to meet her family before we got married, and that I had a good relationship with her brothers and sisters and her nieces and nephews. I did not have the opportunity to meet her father because he had passed away before I had met Nora, but that I got to meet her mother and since then be involved in all of their lives. I explained to her that I had helped the family when I could. For instance, not to brag, but something that I did, which was my choice. Nana had a copra farm here that she had to surrender to what's called prenda. That's kind of like when you put it in hock. If you have something you own, kind of like going to a pawn shop. You know, she had this copra farm, and one of my brothers-in-law needed a hernia surgery, like an emergency hernia surgery, and it was like 65,000 pesos, which to them, living poor folks out in the rural area, the province, it might as well have been 65 million pesos. And so she put the copra farm in hock, or they call it in prenda, and then it's not hers anymore until such time as she can repay that money. That's her only source of income, so without it she had no income. I mean, they do some abaca harvesting, but that's not very much at all. It's a small fraction of what she could make off the copra farming, and even that is not a lot of money. So I was the one who got the copra farm out of prenda, so that Nana at that time, she was 72, going on 73, I think. And now she's going on, she'll be 77 in December. But anyway, so that way she could have her income. And then she said, okay, sir, now I would like to speak to your wife. I didn't have to leave the room. I stayed in the room, but she said, I'd like to speak to your wife in our language. The officer doesn't speak Bisaya. She speaks English, obviously. and Tagalog and Waray. Nora understands a little Waray but doesn't speak it. She does speak Tagalog, so they spoke together in Tagalog. And now I'm going to ask Nora to fill you in on what the officer discussed with her there at the hearing. So, hon, please go ahead and share with the viewers.
Yeah, the officer told me that how is the marriage life? So I said, that's good. My husband is a good husband. So yeah, okay, that's good. And she told me that I have anyway, mom, I tell you something, this thing that there are a lot of Filipina married a foreigner and live here in the Philippines. Unfortunately, when they got their 13A visa, so that's the time their husband, you know, like being babaero. So, as a petitioner, she told me that I have right to report and to tell them right away to cancel the visa.
Yes, and that's something where, because again, they're very much concerned with protecting the Filipina and protecting her family, that any lady who's the petitioner for you guys who are applying for this visa, they have the power to go to immigrate. What they have to do is they go to the immigration office, advise them what has happened, and there's a form to be filled out and submitted, and where they are able to, in effect, kill the petition and kill the visa. So, you know, I think it's a good thing. I think, you know, we've heard of these kind of guys before. Actually, we know a lady that doesn't live far from us, and her husband is not from America. He's from another country, and it was found out that he had another lady in Manila, and every time he would come from his home country to come back to see his wife and baby, he would come days or a week early and spend time with this other lady in Manila, even though he was a married man. So the wife discovered it, and it was not pleasant. Now, she hasn't canceled his visa or anything. They worked it out, but this kind of thing is really not uncommon here. We've heard of it a lot. So I thought it was pretty cool that they have this system in place to protect the Filipina. Okay, hon, so you were telling me there were some other comments by the immigration official in the hearing when she was talking to you about, you know, your rights to kill the petition and protecting the Filipina. Can you tell us more of what she said, please?
Yeah, she said that there are some Filipina, they know that their husband has mistress, but they're quiet. They did not report here in the office, so that they supposed to cancel the visa. And you know, she said, you know, the husband, lucky. He can go anywhere he want to go with other ladies, and he did not pay, you know, supposed to cancel the visa so that he can pay the extension or how much the amount. But it's like he's using the opportunity in that time that instead he's supposed to pay the correct amount of how many months or how many years he's lived here in the Philippines. But you know, that is why she told me, if ever as you are petitioner, you have right to come here to report right away, so that here in the office we can cancel the visa. That's it.
Okay, hon, thank you very much for sharing that with the viewers. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so after she spoke to Nora semi-privately in Tagalog, then she addressed both of us again, just advising us about now what the next step is. She said, you and your wife, you know, the hearing has gone well. Everything's okay. Your documents are in order. So we are going to write our recommendation that we will submit to Manila. So what happens next is they take all my paperwork, and then this recommendation that they produce, they put with it, and that's sent by LBC, which anybody that knows anything about the Philippines, you know what LBC is. It's a courier, an ocean air courier here, probably the most famous one in the Philippines. kind of something like UPS and FedEx, but they're going to send those documents and the recommendation by LBC to Manila, to the head office in Intramuros. And of course, she said, now this takes time, sir. You're going to have to wait about 2 months before you really hear back if your visa is really approved by them and they give us instructions to issue the visa. Because she said, imagine all the district offices all over the Philippines are submitting these applications. There's a lot of them, so just be patient, sir. Please be patient. And I said, yeah, no problem. We just wait to hear to find out, and you can actually check on the Philippines Immigration website to see the status of your application. Or she actually advised us, you know, we have one of the cell phone numbers of one of the officers, and then she gave us the office number. She said, call anytime. We're more than happy to check for you. And otherwise, if we hear before you check with us, we will text or call you and notify you so you can come back here. So then that basically concluded the hearing. We went downstairs, because the hearing room was upstairs on the second floor. We went back downstairs to the waiting area and the main offices, and they did all my biodata, data capture. They scanned my electronic fingerprints. They took photos, my frontal photo and left profile photo. They had me sign like on an electronic signature pad. And that was it. Gave me my receipt for the fees, which I'm going to show you next and go over those. And yeah, it was not too bad. I didn't think it was going to be difficult, but I really didn't know what to expect. Actually, Nora was probably more nervous than me, because she's never been to anything like this in her life. You know, I've been like jury duty and all these kind of things, where to me it was no big deal, except that we both had a lot of question marks in our minds, like, are we both going to be spoken to together, separately? Like, what kind of things are they going to ask us? But to be perfectly honest, the way that it went, I told Nora as we left, I just felt it was kind of a formality. It wasn't really like they were grilling us or anything. The questions were pretty general. Wasn't really too bad, right, hon? Mm. Yeah. So so next we're going to go over this receipt and yeah, finish up the video. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody, so you can see that I got the receipt laid out here. It's quite a long receipt, so I'm going to show you by sections. And these fees are as of September 2019. And a little spoiler alert, I'll just tell you that it actually cost me, concerning the visa and visa particulars, 11,300 pesos. And it also cost me an additional 200 pesos because I'm the one paying for the LBC mailing of the documents to Intramuros at the head office in Manila. The data capture that they did of my bio data, my fingerprints, my photos, my signature, all that's transmitted electronically in the system, obviously. But this is for all the particulars doing this 13A visa. So as of September 2019, 11,300 pesos. Okay? Okay, so you can see here the first line is a form fee, 100 pesos. Next is the Alien Certificate of Registration, 1,000 pesos. Certificate of Residence for Temporary Visitors, 1,400 pesos. Application fee, 1,000 pesos. Change of status fee, 600 pesos. A head tax, 250 pesos. Implementation fee, 1,000 pesos. Passport visa fee, 200 pesos. A legal research fee, 70 pesos. A certificate fee, 500 pesos. And the ACR iCard fee, 2,626 pesos. So this section totals 8,746 pesos. I checked the exchange rate yesterday, and it was 51.19. So I'll show the amounts here on the screen just converted from like 50 pesos. I like to keep it just a nice round number. Now we'll go to the next section of the receipt. Okay, so now you can see on the bottom section of the receipt, this is the last of it. Under particulars, we have an express lane fee, implementation, 1,000 pesos. Express lane fee, iCard processing, 500 pesos. express lane fee filing, 500 pesos, and express lane fee certification, 500 pesos. Now the thing about these express lane fees, this is what keeps you from having to leave your documents and leave your passport for like 2 to 3 days. In other words, when you go there, they do all this in the same day, and then they hand your passport back to you with your receipt, and you go home. Otherwise, you have to leave your money, your passport, and all the documentation and come back in like 3 days if you want to not pay these fees, which total 2,500 pesos. 2,500 pesos is approximately 50 US bucks. I live about 4.5 hours away from this office. So it's like depending on who's driving the van, it's like an 8-9 hour round trip. To me, it's worth the 50 bucks not to have to go back again and take 4 trips instead of 2. You know, if you live like say in Cebu, where you can just go right down to the mall, to the office, or you live in Manila, go down there to like SM North EDSA, or if you want to go to Intramuros. But these are fees that if you want to just get in and out and get it done, that you're going to have to pay. Okay, so thank you for joining me again on the video. We'll do another video to update you. They told me it'll be November, because about 2 months before we hear. Of course, we're praying and hoping we hear that we get granted the visa. Of course, anything could happen. Certainly could be rejected. I don't know if it's actually like a quota thing. I don't know if there's a certain number or not, to be perfectly honest. We're learning as we go along doing this. But anyway, the officer who did the hearing, she said, "Sir, just please be patient. It's going to be like 2.5 months." The officer who we know, who actually handles the processing of these visas, she told us, about 2 months and you'll come back and you'll get it. So to her, it sounded like a slam dunk. But anyway, we'll make another video updating you again about that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any comments that would be helpful, please leave them below. If you have any questions, also please leave them below. I would be more than happy to try to answer them. Please check out our Patreon page. We just started that. It's not quite finished yet. I got to tighten that up, but you can see some couple of beautiful photos and a couple of posts that I've written, and I'm going to be adding more to that. Please help support the channel. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe, share, and we just got from 25 subscribers up to 31, so we're looking for number 32. But we do this because we enjoy it, and we want to share the information. When I started this, there wasn't a whole lot of info out there, so I just want to share with you guys exactly what happens with me. So hopefully it will be of a help to you. Okay, so have a great day. God bless. Take care, everybody, and goodbye from me and Nora.
Bye for now. Thank you for watching.
Take care. Majong hapon sa tanan. Magandang umaga sa lahat. Good.
Oh.
Whoops. Let's try that again, because I just said good afternoon and good morning. Okay. Nice.